What is up, everyone? Please take a second to hit that like button. The more likes that we get in a short period of time, the more people the algorithm will bring into the chat to come hang out with us and see what's going on. So please hit that like button and let me know how you're doing.
Folks, and you can be seated. And I have overruled the last objection, so go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Hernandez, you had indicated that you have provided with both the defense and the state with your full footage from the night of August 25th. Is that right?
Yes.
And you did that through an attorney from a law firm from Madison, correct?
Yes.
And that's an attorney whose firm is also providing services to the defendant in this case, correct?
Today is the first time I'm hearing of this, so I don't have any bias because I just heard about this today.
After this incident, the shooting occurred on August 25th, 2020, you posted videos in support of the defendant after that, correct?
Can you repeat the date one more time?
After the shooting on August 25th, 2020, you posted videos on social media in support of the defendant, didn't you?
Define support.
You posted videos that you felt would help his case by showing aggressive behavior on the part of Joseph Rosenbaum, for example.
I posted the same video that is evidence today.
And in your commentary associated with that video, you made some disparaging remarks about Mr. Rosenbaum, didn't you?
What would you say is that?
Do you remember what you said?
I'd like to hear it.
So you don't remember what you said?
I have no idea. I post on Twitter many times a day. I posted many videos. If you could specify what exactly you're talking about, I could correctly answer you.
Sir, I'm going to ask you a question under oath.
I will tell you that I don't typically permit
Talking about, I could correctly.
lawyers to remind people that they're under oath. And it's happened a few times in the case here. It's not permitted. I don't think most judges do allow it. Of course, they're under oath. So it's actually a suggestion by the questioner that the witness is not being truthful, and you're welcome to argue that at the end of the trial, but don't use it as a preface to your questions. Okay?
Have you ever posted anything on social media
Yes.
in support of Kyle Rittenhouse?
One could argue yes.
You've also been watching this trial while it's been going on, correct?
Yes.
And when you've been testifying, you've been referring to the defendant by his first name, Kyle, correct?
Yes.
And you've been referring to the first person that he killed as Mr. Rosenbaum.
Yes.
Instead of Joe or Joseph, correct? Is that yes?
Yes.
Do you, as you sit here today, do you personally know the defendant?
No.
But yet you call him by his first name?
That's his legal name. What else am I supposed to call him?
Mr. Rittenhouse or the defendant?
I'm going to interject here. I do have a rule that is honored in the breach, as Chaucer wrote, that witnesses are to be addressed formally, so that there's no distinction between classes and races and that type of thing. Except I do permit an attorney representing the defendant to use a first name, because that would be the normal mode of address between a lawyer and a client. I would tell you that throughout this trial and every other, people slip into calling people by their first names, and if it's brought to my attention, then I discourage it or stop it. But just so you know, it generally should be Mr. Rittenhouse and Mr. Rosenbaum, okay? Okay, thanks.
You testified that you observed Mr. Rittenhouse. You made a hand gesture. You characterized him as trying to de-escalate the situation. Is that right?
Yes.
Were you wearing your body cam when that happened?
Yes.
Do you have footage of that?
Yes.
Have we seen that yet?
It's been submitted to you guys.
Right, but was it played when you testified?
No.
Ryan, you also characterized, well, there was a video that was played of the incident at the Ultimate gas station with Mr. Rosenbaum and the dumpster. Fair to say?
The flaming dumpster.
You were personally at that location when that all happened, correct?
Yes.
Was the defendant?
I cannot recall. I was not there. Or I can't
You were there.
recall he was there or not. Yes, I was there.
You never saw him at that scene, correct?
No.
You also mentioned that at one point you observed a fire at a mechanic shop. Do you
Yes.
remember where that was?
It was a couple blocks away from Sheraton. I don't remember exactly.
That was some tires
Yes.
that were on fire in the middle of that lot, correct?
Yes.
And you have no idea who started that fire?
No.
You're not here testifying that Mr. Rosenbaum started that fire?
No.
You're not here testifying that anyone else in this case started that fire, correct?
I have no idea who started that fire.
In the video that we played earlier, this is the video where you're walking down the street, you see the tipped over garbage can, the road, people lighting on fire, and then you start walking in the same direction as the defendant. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yes, Rosenbaum.
It was
Joseph Rosenbaum.
It was Rosenbaum, furthest south on Sheridan, Mr. Rittenhouse, and then I don't know if you know this individual. There's a Richie McGinnis. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
And he was heading in that same direction between you and the defendant. Is that fair to say?
Yes, based upon the footage, yes.
And you're aware that there comes a time in the video that you made where the defendant starts to run. Do you remember that?
I didn't make any videos.
Recorded.
Yes.
There comes a time in the video you recorded in which you saw Mr. Rittenhouse start running. Is that fair to say?
After Joseph Rosenbaum was lighting a fire in the middle of the street, he had his face covered, and he stopped and started going towards car source 3, walking. And a couple seconds after, you see Kyle Rittenhouse walk past the frame with a fire extinguisher.
The question I was asking you, though, sir, is there comes a time after that where in your video Mr. Rittenhouse starts running towards that car source. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And Mr. McGinnis, who is between you and the defendant, also starts running.
Yes.
And you start running.
Yes.
Why?
Because the rioters were saying en route to car source, en route to car source, and someone yelled out either burn in hell or burn inside or burn it down. It's hard to make out. But they were clearly displaying riotous, arsonist behavior prior to that, and covering riots all of 2020. I could tell something violent was about to happen.
Such as an arson or a fire?
Possibly, yes.
What else could possibly have happened?
At the time, that's what I was thinking.
So you were mostly concerned about running to get there in time to cover what you thought was going to be a fire.
Yes.
Was your decision to start running based on you seeing the defendant start to run?
No.
So you just independently decided to run at that time?
I just told you, people were saying en route to car source. Someone said burn in hell, burn it down. And the prior nights, the rioters were burning down buildings in Kenosha.
The people that you quote as saying those things, they're walking down the middle of the road, weren't they?
Some were walking, yes.
The people that say those things don't start running at the same time you do they?
I couldn't tell who said it.
Did you, these people you're characterizing as arsonists, rioters, whatever language you're using, were any of them running towards the 63rd car source?
Some were way ahead of me, in front of me, so I wouldn't be able to tell.
So you didn't know whether those people way ahead of you were running or not?
No, it'd be too far to tell.
So I know you said you started running. What other people around you were running at that very moment? If you know.
Richie was in front of me, So I think Richie McGinnis was the one that started running, and then while we started hearing all of the noise and people saying burn it down, that's when I started to go run towards the car source.
So,
3.
So one of the factors in your decision to start running was the fact that you saw Mr. McGinnis start to run.
Yes, one of the factors.
And you are, you post on Twitter, correct?
Yes.
And you have a Twitter name that is at Drew H Live.
Yes.
Is that right? And Drew H Live is your show that you have, or your website, correct?
Yes, on YouTube.
Okay. And you tweeted about this incident on the night of August 25th, didn't you?
Yes.
Shortly after everything happened.
Yes.
And you were talking about an armed citizen who opened fire on a rioter,
Yes.
right? And you characterized the rioters as planning to burn down the car dealership, correct?
Yes.
And it seems like you're suggesting then that the defendant, he's the armed citizen that you're referring to, right?
Yes.
That he is, in your opinion, took necessary action to stop these rioters. That's what your tweet is basically suggesting, right?
At the time, it appeared that he was attempting to protect the local business from
So-
violent rioters that had already displayed that behavior 2 nights prior.
So this is an example, and this is, by the way, this is at 11:35 p.m. on August 25th, 2020. I know you said you're from Arizona. Is it possible that this was Arizona time, so 2 hours behind us? Because the shootings hadn't happened here until about 11:50 p.m. So I'm wondering if that's why there might be a time difference. Do you know?
No, I posted that. Are you referring to the video of the shooting of Mr. Rosenbaum?
That's part of it, yes.
Okay, yeah, I posted that specific video maybe about 20 minutes after it happened, the original video.
And by that time, you had made a conclusion in your own mind that what the defendant did was the right thing. Fair to say?
I would have to take a look at the specific tweets to remember what I was saying and why I was saying it.
This is the tweet from 11:35 p.m. on August 25th, 2020, which in Kenosha would have been before the shooting actually occurred. And you say, "It appears an armed citizen was defending the car dealership and opened fire on the rioter who was attempting to vandalize or burn the dealership down. Before the shooting took place, the rioters were planning to burn down their, quote, next car dealership," end quote. Do you remember that tweet?
Yes.
And that was shortly after this all happened.
Yes.
Now, you were also asked if you had observed various individuals that night, and you've told us about your observations of Joseph Rosenbaum. Fair?
Yes.
And have you showed us or talked about all of the observations or video second mark?
Sorry, thank you.
All right. Mr. Hernandez, are you able to see that okay?
Yes.
All right, can we play that, please? Oh, Karen, are you okay? Do you need a tissue or anything? Okay. Let's go to Exhibit 153 at the 40-second mark, please. Can we back it up 10 seconds, please? Go ahead. Mr. Hernandez, is this video that you recorded on your body cam?
Yes.
And did you see something that was being shown in your direction?
Yes, a laser.
Where was that coming from?
I have no idea.
You recorded this video maybe
What did you say?
Asked and answered. He said.
They're totally shutting my shit